Have you ever wondered how the craziness in the world is beginning to affect people in your life, or maybe even affect you yourself? When you hear the different things happening in the world with maybe economic downturns, LGBTQ, Bitcoin crisis, governments of nations being toppled, coup d'etat in different parts of Africa, just different things. These things can be trying, traumatizing, especially when you then add to those things the personal problems and challenges in your own life. Sometimes family tensions, sibling squabbles, workplace tensions, all those things are beginning to affect many of us. Now, this is the good news. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 ways to ensure that you stay sane in a crazy world. 5 keys to maintaining your mental health in a place that seems to be against it completely. My name is Damilola Oluwatoyinbo. I'm the pastor of Kings, and we're going to get right to it. But before we do that, click the subscribe button right now so that you can get notifications on future videos I'm going to be sharing with you. Thanks for all the comments. If you've placed a comment or posted the comments in the previous videos, if you haven't, please do that and ensure you go back to those videos to watch, get inspiration and direction and instruction. Are we ready for the 5 things? Boom. Let's do this. Number 1, you must understand that God is your source. Every other thing or person is at least, at best rather, a resource. Now what does that mean? Many times when we have mental health challenges and crisis in our mind and our thinking, it's typically because we're expecting a lot from other people. You're expecting your parents to be able to give you that endowment fund of $1 million so that as you grow through life, you just make withdrawals and spend anyhow and anytime you want. You're expecting your best friend to be perfect. You're expecting maybe your spouse to be JJ, Jesus Jr. Never angry, never weary, never anxious, never tired, never disappointing. Right. Maybe you're even expecting yourself to be at the top tier 100% all the time. Whenever we have all these expectations of other people, it increases our tendency to be disappointed. Whenever we're disappointed repeatedly, it begins to affect our minds. So understand that God is the ultimate source of peace, of joy, of increase, of fulfillment, of faithfulness. He is the standard. He's the SI unit, and doesn't matter how many other units people have, in their PHCN meter, no matter the units they have, God is the source. So keep that at the back of your mind. David said, when my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. He said, my soul waits for thou, wait thou for God alone, for my expectation is of him, in Psalm 62 verse 5. So keep that in mind, that God is your anchor, God is your source, God is your strength. Governments are going to fail, Democrats are going to fail, Republicans are going to fail, PDP has already failed, APC has failed. All the different political parties are busy partying away whilst people's destinies are suffering. So don't expect much from the kings of this world. Focus on God. Number 2, you must understand your limits. Now, not everybody is wired the same way. Some people can handle a lot of pressure and not explode or implode. But there's some other people, their threshold is not very high. Their threshold for anger, for pain, for depression, for obstruction. So know yourself. I'll borrow the words of Aristotle. Now, this is not a philosophy class, but you can draw some wisdom from what he said. He said, man, know yourself, know thyself. If you know that being at a party or a large event with thousands of people is going to affect your mind, maybe you want to politely decline certain invitations, or say to yourself, I have reached my quota of public gatherings for this year, right? Or for this month, as the case may be. If you know that staying indoors is actually going to contribute to your mental disturbance, because some people are claustrophobic, which means they don't like tight spaces, then why are you staying indoors from morning till night? Step out, get some fresh air, take a walk, play with a dog, jump in a pool, don't drown, swim. Know yourself. What works for somebody may not work for the other person. So the fact that your friend is all out there, outgoing, jumping and vibing to every tune and is still sane does not mean that will work for you. The same thing, the same water, watch this now, that softens meat hardens the egg. So know yourself. Number 3, you want to invest in rest, rhymes, Don't be a pest so you can be your best. Invest in rest so that you can function at your crest. Come on now. Do you want to beat your chest on that? But invest in rest and recreation, right? I know that some of us, I'm not looking at myself right now, but I know that some of us will have the tendency to be workaholics. We work and work and work around the clock, we work around the watch, not just around the clock, right? Work on TikTok, we just work. All you do is work. Do you know that song? It's not a praise and worship song, you shouldn't know it. Anyway, but we work around the clock. And yes, it's good to be productive. It's good to be a person of value, but you don't want to work to death. I remember the story that somebody told about somebody who was a workaholic and eventually died. And then they said, what did he die of? They said he died of work because he didn't learn to rest. And you don't want that to be your portion. You don't want cardiac arrest because you didn't take your rest. You want to make sure that you rest. How do you invest in that? Let me tell you what I do. Now, I realize that, I have a tendency to just walk around and around the clock. So what I do, or at least try to do ever so often, is that if I walk for like 3 to 4 hours, I'm going to take about a 15-minute break. I'm either going to start goofing around or saying something funny, or I might take a walk or a prayer walk, or take out some time to just clear my head or sit in the car. So invest in what works for you. Science, medically, they say that it's not okay for you to sleep for less than 7 to 8 hours. I don't remember the last time I met that quote anyway. But here's the deal. Ensure that you get adequate rest. You drink a lot of water. I'm still working on that, right? So I'm not preaching at you. I'm encouraging you to do the right thing. Invest in rest. One of the other things I also try to do is try to get some time out in terms of vacation, or dedicate a day of the week to lighter work so that I can catch my breath and I can catch other things, but not cold. Number 4, have filters, have fences, and have boundaries and bridges. I'm going to explain those 4 things because they're very important. Filters, fences, boundaries, and bridges. What are filters? Filters are basically mental or emotional mechanisms that you put in place to ensure that not everything people say gets to you. Not everything you watch gets into your heart. Not everything you interface with becomes a part of your inner world. Now, concerning the Titanic, you might be familiar with Titanic, that big sea vessel that eventually crashed. It did not crash because it got into water. It crashed, or rather sank, I should say, because water got into it. So ships don't sink because they're in water. Ships sink because water gets into them. You need filters in your life so that if somebody uses a word you don't like, or pours negativity on you, or says something about you that is unfair and is so critical and inimical, you don't get submerged under that. Learn not to attribute the same weight to what everybody says. Those are filters. So filter the things you hear in the news. When they say, oh, XYZ number of people died, you don't have to absorb that and take that in, right? You want to be able to ensure that you have filters. Now, what are fences? For some people in your life, they don't need filters, they need fences, because they have violated trust over and over and over again. They have lied, they have taken advantage of you, they have insulted you, they've manipulated you, they've schemed or even scammed you. Build fences. Not everybody should deserve access to your world, to your space, to your mind, to your orientation. What are boundaries? Boundaries are the limits you put in place to be able to ensure that even though people can come close to you, they can't run over you or walk over you. So whilst fences keep people out, boundaries lets people in gradually. And number 4, bridges. What that means is build connection points to other people of value, people of peace, people who are wise and mature that you can draw counsel and inspiration from. And go for it, 5. Number 5 is very simple. Immerse yourself in the conscious awareness of God's presence. Now, you may or may not realize this, that when you think about your mind, there's a part of your mind that interfaces with the spiritual world. And a generation that is crazy with all kinds of arguments and fights and contention, I can assure you there are demon spirits that have been deployed to harass people. The Word of God makes it very clear to us in the book of Mark that there was a certain man, the madman of the gatherings, who had lost his mind because he had demonic spirits that were fighting for him. And I can say this to you as a believer, a demon cannot possess you because God does not share your body as Airbnb with demonic spirits. You are not a hostel for demons, you are a host for the Spirit of God. However, demons can try to oppress you in the realm of your mind, can try to assault you, violate you, harass you, mock you, ridicule you, blow things out of proportion, make you feel less than yourself. So what do? Immerse yourself in the conscious awareness of the presence of God. Pray in the Spirit. Sing praise and worship songs. Read the Word of God. Surround yourself with fellowship. Ensure that you build antibodies. Whenever a human body falls sick, it's typically because the resistance, the antibodies have become weak or fewer than necessary to keep out the germs and the microbes. So what you want to do is to build up your spiritual muscles so that not everything can fly into your mind. And number 6, I've got a special recommendation for you. The other thing you want to do is that you want to read the right material, because your mind has building blocks. So get books like this called I'm Not Alone. This is one of my books, right? And the link is somewhere around this video or beneath in the caption, so in the description. Look for it, right? But it will do you a world of good. But there are other books that you can get as well that can help you fortify your mind, deal with anxiety, deal with depression, deal with mental health issues, deal with retrogression, schizophrenia, anorexia, insomnia, psychosomatic disorders. Get material that will bolster you and boost your confidence. Now, don't forget to like this video, subscribe right now. Let me know which of these points you find the most valuable and most helpful. And do me a favor, send this video to somebody in your world right now who's going through the upheavals of the insanity and the craziness of this world, so that together we can impact more lives. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Don't forget to click like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.